Hi there. Thanks so much for considering this information. My name is Carolyn Ledowsky and I'm a PhD candidate at the University of Technology, Sydney. I've spent the last 12 years of my life supporting and looking after women with recurrent miscarriage. And during that time, I have done research studies. I have been investigating the research. And as part of my PhD, I'm going to do a randomized clinical trial testing different forms of folate in women with recurrent miscarriage. And so as part of this PhD, we are going to build on research that we have already uncovered. And I'd like to share with you today what that research is. So as I said, I'm a PhD candidate with the University of Technology, Sydney, and I also founded an organisation to support women with recurrent miscarriage, specifically around a gene that affects folate metabolism. So why is this research important? Well, the statistics around miscarriage are huge. There's 23 million people every year that experience a miscarriage. And that's a percentage of anywhere between 15 and 25%. So 1 in 4 women are miscarrying. And what we know is that there are different forms of folate. Now, folic acid, which is a synthetic form of folate, it's made in the lab. It doesn't naturally occur in the body, but it's always been used in prenatal multivitamins and in fortification of food, because it's fairly cheap and fairly stable. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that that's what we've always got to use going forward. But because there's a lack of information, there's a lack of research supporting the fact that methylfolate is as good, if not better, in preventing miscarriage, the general consensus out there with GPs and doctors is that we just use folic acid. There's no awareness that there may be a better option. And my previous research showed that with women with infertility, it actually was a better option, and it did stop and help prevent miscarriages. So my research question is methylfolate more effective than folic acid to prevent miscarriage in couples with recurrent pregnancy loss or recurrent miscarriage? And so just as a quick snapshot, there's 3 forms of folate that are traditionally used or are used now. Folic acid, as I said, is synthetic. It's made in a lab. It's not naturally occurring in the body, but the body has to use it through certain enzymes to actually make it effective, because the end goal is we've got to make methylfolate. And there are some people that genetically don't do that as well. Now, there's an active form of folate called folinic. It is metabolically active, but just like folic acid, it still has to be converted to methylfolate. So methylfolate is the end goal of what we're trying to provide or support the function of, because that's what supports the DNA in the egg and the sperm for really good quality DNA. And so this was my previous research. We did a case series and we asked practitioners to give us information on cases where women had been diagnosed with infertility by fertility specialists. And as you can see, there are 12 women there, ranging in ages from 26 right through to 46 plus. And they'd all had either miscarriages, multiple miscarriages and or IVF. And they were all unsuccessful in having pregnancies that would actually carry through to live birth. And so what the patients were advised to do is actually remove all folic acid, not only from supplements, but also from their diet, because folic acid is actually in our fortification program. For example, all bread flour by law has to be fortified with folic acid. So they were told to stop having it in every form, and they were all given methylfolate at quite a high dose. So in Australia, we're only allowed 500 micrograms in a prenatal multivitamin. But because all these women actually had genetics around being able to make methylfolate, we gave them more. So the average dose was 2,325 micrograms. But the results were quite amazing in that you can see that all the women actually went on to have a live birth. Only 2 did not. And this particular woman, she actually fell pregnant twice within the time period, the 1 year of the trial. But you will see that for her particular genetics, she was actually on the lowest dose of folate. So she was only on 500 micrograms, but all the people with their gene mutation for the folate gene were all on much higher doses. So, 3,600, 3,500. This one here was on 2,500. So we may draw the conclusion that she just wasn't on enough folate. And this woman here had actually never fallen pregnant. And unfortunately, because we were limited time, limited resources, we didn't actually have the opportunity to investigate her partner, because her partner could well have had the same genes as she did as far as folate is concerned. So this was very encouraging that we actually had 12 women diagnosed with infertility. 10 of them had babies and 1 miscarried twice, 1 did not fall pregnant. So it was a really encouraging, and that was a springboard for us to then do this new research. And you can see there the ages, they actually all did go on to, and I'm very pleased to say that the woman that had 10 previous failed IVF actually did go on to have twins with IVF, which was really exciting. So this research builds on our knowledge base and allows us then to do a research study of more rigor, which means that at the end of the day, more people will take notice. So our primary objective is actually to test the 2 different versions and see in women that have had multiple miscarriage, can we actually prevent that? And in the process, we're going to document who has genes around the folate genetics, how long does it take them to fall pregnant, and we're going to check folate levels throughout the trial. We are going to be recruiting women with recurrent pregnancy loss, so 2 or more pregnancies, and their male reproductive partners. It's going to be a double-blind randomized clinical trial, which means no one in the trial, not even me, will know who is getting which form. So we've got half the women will be on a methylfolate-based prenatal, the other half will be on a folic acid-based, and they'll be 20 to 49 years of age. And our end goal is to see how many of them get to 22 weeks of pregnancy. We're not obviously taking women that are pregnant or breastfeeding, and we're going to recruit via social media once we get the funding. And as I said, there'll be 2 different prenatals, one with folic acid, one exactly the same with methylfolate. And the trial will run for a period of a year. So we're going to give these women 3 months of preconception care, and then the 9 months following to see if we can get them pregnant and potentially get to that 22 weeks of pregnancy. And so this doesn't happen without costs. And by far and away, our biggest expense is actually physically making the prenatal products that we need for each of the groups, because we have to have these people on it for a full year. So any funding that we can gain to support the project would be absolutely awesome. Your assistance would be amazing. And I thank you so much for considering this. I hope to talk to you soon. Bye for now.